Lovely to see you. Really nice to see you. Really nice to be back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
And thank you ever so much for looking after morning prayer.
It's really fun to do.
Being an absentee chaplain.
Right. Which anytime you want to travel or be absentee, I'm very happy to do it. Yes, it's good fun.
And you've discovered something about chaplain.
Yeah, it's true. It's good you told me to double check it because actually St. Martin had a cloak. Yeah,
yes.
his vision was of a cloak. He basically during a battle, a beggar appeared and he put his cloak over him, and then the cloak became a relic. And actually, his cloak became very famous, and the person looking after the cloak had a important position, and the cloak was called the capella, which actually is the origin of the word chaplain. Interestingly, it goes back medieval Latin capella, little cloak, and actually gives us the word chaplain and chapel.
How amazing.
So actually St. Martin is somewhat significant.
I never knew that.
No, yeah, fascinating. It's a bit like you asked me to double check. We have actually checked that both ways. Yeah, apparently.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yes, and there we go actually, and even in the dictionary it says originally denoting a custodian of the cloak of St. Martin from Capella, originally little cloak. There we go. Interesting. Amazing
What you learn.
Exactly. It's never too late to learn anything new. And amazing readings. I had to, when we were reading Daniel, at one point I caught myself thinking, hang on, are we reading the New Testament? Is this Revelations? Because that dream looks like...
It does look like Revelation.
Oh,
More to the point,
Revelation.
Oh yes, it's Michael, Malcolm and Jingle. It's looking at Revelation in many ways echoes this apocalyptic literature that we find in Daniel and in one or two other bits as well.
It's amazing.
In Ezekiel, yeah.
It's literally his dream, and it looks very like the beasts we were talking about yesterday when we in our reading. One gets a bit lost with all the beasts in Revelation, but
wasn't yesterday the lion's den?
Possibly.
And the lion's den. But anyway.
Yes, sorry. In Revelation, I mean, yes, it was the lion's den.
But exactly, Revelation picks up on these beasts. And if you notice, I mean, there's so much here. I mean, they probably were linked with different kingdoms. And then the fourth beast is the emerging Roman Empire. And the sort of the 10 horns that come out of it. But the great thing about putting it into this sort of apocalyptic literature is you can read into it a little bit what you want to, where you are. So somebody from China with sort of a whole understanding of Chinese history might well be able to read into Chinese history this as well.
These kingdoms, different whether it's Rome or another, it can relate to anyone. And then at the end we have, I saw one like a human being coming with the clouds of heaven. I presume that's predicting the...
and the language, or I saw one like a human being, or like literally Son of Man.
Right.
And Jesus talks about himself being the Son of Man. And Jesus has this talk, when Jesus talks about being the Son of Man, he is this sort of the people of God, the embodied people of God. And what's important here is that they've been suffering. They've suffered under the beasts.
Right.
But God is enthroned. God exercises judgment on the beasts. And so these saints who have been suffering are now vindicated.
Right.
But this idea of the suffering Son of Man, the suffering, how do they call it, child, human child, offspring, who then is exalted, is such a big theme in the New Testament and in Jesus' teachings.
Right.
And the idea that Jesus had to suffer before he was exalted.
Right.
Fulfilling Daniel 7. Very important chapter.
Oh, right. So actually, it's a big deal.
Daniel 7 is really, really important.
Okay.
Both in the New Testament and in Jesus' understanding of his own role.
Right.
Because Jesus talks about himself as being the Son of Man.
Right.
And when you go back into the Old Testament to find the Son of Man, it's here.
It's actually
in Daniel 7.
Right. Intriguing. Okay, so it's a pretty heavy weight.
You see here at the bottom, he came to the Ancient of Dead One and was presented for him. To him was given dominion and glory and kingship, that all peoples, nations and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away. way. Complete contrast to the dominion of the beasts,
Right, which all come and go.
which come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's really interesting. So that is actually one of the things that Jesus kind of refers to
Yeah.
frequently.
Yes. Yeah. And when he stands before Pilate, he says, "You will see the Son of Man seated on the clouds at the right hand of heaven," which is again echoes of Daniel 7.
Right. Wow. So Daniel was a pretty powerful visionary. I mean,
Yeah,
he saw some
yeah.
pretty amazing stuff, and survived the night with the lions as well. Amazing.
Big cats.
The big cats.
And then we've got that reading from Revelation.
Yeah, more beasts.
More beasts.
This-
Locusts. This is a
this-
bit scary.
And also quite cruel. This idea that they will die but not die, and they will have 5 months in torment. It almost sounds like it actually reminds me of the film Alien, actually, where the people that sort of become a host for the alien, they're kind of living dead, and then eventually die. Ooh, gruesome stuff.
Yes, it is pretty horrific, and they have king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit,
Yes, exactly. Abaddon and Apollyon, yeah.
which means destroyer, I think. If I'm correct.
Right.
Um,
But it's very graphic, all these things, that these creatures which have human faces, their hair like women's hair and their teeth like lions' teeth.
so
Very
they
interesting.
look human, but
Right.
they're not human. That's the key. You know, they look at first value. You look at them and you think this is good, this is
Right.
okay.
They look familiar.
And then you realise, this is. I don't know if you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
At
great
one
movie.
point, the sort of when they opened the Ark of the Covenant, total fantasy this is, but when
Yeah.
they opened it, these sort of beasts come out,
Oh, right,
and they
yes.
sort of are a bit like this.
Right, yeah,
And they
I
come
remember
into the
that.
baddies, yeah.
Great, it's a great movie. Yeah. But it is interesting how it's a human face, it's women's hair and lion's teeth. And it's all sort of things that we recognise, don't we? Sort of human faces, we sort of trust, women's hair, something beautiful.
But all put together in a grotesque
way.
yeah.
Yeah, very bizarre. It was like scorpions and they could sting you for 5 months without killing you. It was kind of horrific.
Fortunately, it's just this bit, and then we get on to other stuff as
Right,
well.
but this is the first of two whereas there's 2 more to come, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Amazing stuff. Now, Revelations is a bizarre. It's sort of hard to understand.
It is hard to understand. It is written in code deliberately,
Right.
and so yes, but it actually also has a real encouragement message as well.
Right.
Basically, it says it's going to get very hard, but don't worry, God's still in control.
Right. Interesting.
And if you look through it all, if you look through the suffering and the pain, you can see. You just look through the curtain, just there, you can see God.
The lights at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Great.
Bless you. Have a wonderful
Okay,
day.
good.
Lovely
Yeah.
to see you all, and hope to see you on Monday.
Yes. Yeah.
Bless you.
Bye. That's great. It's fun. Actually, my sister was asking me last week. So what's happened this morning? It's where? What have I just read? I said, wait, it'll all happen. So that's really interesting about the word chaplain.
That is fascinating.
And it's really, I'm glad you told me to go, because I was trying to think, how do I check this? And it was like you gave me the right, it's like go backwards.